Hello Exiles and welcome to my League Guide content series, and in today's episode we're going to be discussing Tormented Spirits. Now in the background you can see the reveal video for 1.3 where Tormented Spirits were introduced into the game. Now basically with the Tormented Spirit, they will either run away from you or they have a chance to possess a rare or unique monster, which then applies their modifiers and then makes them extremely difficult, where they will then get a series of modifiers. As you can see, it was applied into the game in 2014 and it has been around ever since. Now there are certain ways that you can add Tormented Spirits and add more to your game, to your actual map, and make it a little bit more fun in terms of the content that you run, and we're going to run through those methods today. So if you wanted to add Tormented Spirits into your map, then there are a few ways around doing this. The first one is that you can literally just put Tormented Scarabs into the map device, and every single one will add an additional 2 all the way up until the winged, and as you can see, gilded gives you 7, winged gives you 12. Now depending on what type of content, if you're just wanting to add more Tormented Spirits into your maps, then the best way to fully juice this is to combine this with the Atlas tree, which we will discuss in a second. Alongside this, you can also run sextants. Now there are a few different sextants that you can run. So the first one obviously I've got here, which I've just managed to just quickly roll for you, is the first 3 possessed monsters drop an additional scarab, and your maps are haunted by an additional Tormented Betrayer, and you also have Tormented Grave Robber. But just to show you from the trade site here, so as you can see here, there are a few different types of modifiers that you can get on your sextants. So the ones that I've highlighted here, you can get ones with Tormented Betrayers that will drop a Gilded Scarab, Betrayers that will drop a Polished Scarab and a Rusted, and then you can get Tormented Grave Robbers that will drop a unique item or an additional map. Now there is an upgraded version of that as well for the elevated sextants, as you can see here, where there is maps are taken over by a Tormented Betrayer, and they have an additional chance to drop a Winged Scarab and an additional map. But as you can imagine, these are a little bit more expensive because you are using a elevated sextant, which at the moment, at the current market price in 3.23, is currently 1.2 divine per elevated sextant, which is very expensive. Now in terms of your Atlas tree, if you are wanting to make the most of this, another thing that you can do is spec into it. So there are a few nodes, so if you press the middle you can see that there are 3 in total. Watch, there's one here, there's one here, and there's one here. So we're going to run through these very quickly. So this one here has the spirits will be in your maps for an extra 25%. So as we know with Tormented Spirits, what happens with Tormented Spirits is when you approach them, they try to run away. Well, not really run away because they don't have legs, but they float away and try and escape from you and try and kind of just get away from you. Once they have usually done that 2 or 3 times, they will then fly up into the sky and disappear. Now, if that happens, you have then lost the actual spirit because you've not done enough damage fast enough. This would obviously increase the duration in which they stay in your map and keep running away from you. The next one is that they are then haunted by an additional spirit. So if you combine this with the sextant, that means that the scarabs, so you're getting 12, this would be 13, and then if you combined it with a sextant, which is another one, and that would then be 12, 13, 14. Okay, so up to now we've got 14 spirits. If we carry on up, we're good. We'll do this one first. So this one they have increased quantity of items dropped by possessed or touched monsters. Now, there is a chance that Tormented Spirits can possess a rare monster or a unique monster. Sometimes it can be the map boss. If that happens, they will then gain a certain modifier, which is usually in the name of something grip. As you can see here from the website on PoEDB, which I will put a link to this in the description, there is many different types of mods that these torments can get. So we have Heretic's Grip, Heretic's Touch, Grave Robber's Grip, Betrayer's Grip, Miner's Grip, Buccaneer's Grip, it goes on and on and on and on. Embezzler's Grip, Spy's Grip, yeah. So if you want to have a look at all of these and actually what they provide you with, or what they provide the actual monster with, then I will provide a copy of this in the description. This point on your Atlas tree provides that 5 rare monsters, up to 5, will be possessed and their minions will be touched. What that means is that the touched monsters will have a better chance to drop more quantity of items, because you will have to spec into this. So there's 20, 40, 60% increased quant. And then finally, the actual rare monster will be possessed. What that means is that they will be a hell of a lot stronger and a hell of a lot faster, and probably a little bit tankier as well. Now, the final tormented section that you can take on your tree is what we call for Ghostbusting, which I will go through with you in a minute. So you can take this one, which has that your maps have a 10% chance to be haunted by an additional. Then this one has map bosses have a 10% chance to be surrounded by spirits, and 30% more quant dropped by possessed monsters. So you would want to get all of these nodes. So you'd want to get these ones here, these ones here, and these ones here. And if you was wanting to do Ghostbusting, you would want to take this Speaker of the Dead keystone. Now, word of warning, this keystone has been nerfed in 3.23 patch notes. It used to be that you could touch 50 monsters, so we're going to run through it. So it says here, tormented spirits in your maps can possess players for 20 seconds, and tormented spirits in your maps cannot possess monsters. So instead, what they will do is that they will possess you. And as it says in brackets below there, players can touch up to 20 nearby enemies, normal or magic monsters, for each spirit that is possessing you. So let's do the maths. If you currently have 12 torments from your winged scarab, you have 13 from your sexton, and you have 14 from an additional torment, and if by some chance you manage to get a 15th from these two 10%, that means that you can have 15 times 20 monsters that you can then touch with the tormented spirits. So for the quick mathematicians out there, that would be 300 monsters that you can then touch. So the reason why we call it Ghostbusting is because what would happen is, I've seen a few people do this in different various ways. Now, the one that I see as being the most popular is that people will have 2 builds. One which will be a Ghostbusting build, which is basically really, really tanky and really, really fast. Now, what I mean by fast, I'm talking upwards of 600 to 700 movement speed, because these spirits will only stay in you for 20 seconds. So you have to hit 20, you have to touch 20 monsters. Now, bearing in mind, let's say 5 of them all possess you. That means for the next 20 seconds, and they all possess you at the same time, that means for the next 20 seconds, if 5 of them have possessed you, you have to touch 100 monsters in 20 seconds. So as you can imagine, you have to run around the map like a loony bin and touch every single monster that you can. Now, first of all, to do that, you are going to have to be extremely tanky, because you are going to be running through the middle of packs and touching all these monsters. Second of all, you want to be extremely fast, so you can run around the map and do this without losing any juice. And third of all, you don't really want to be doing any damage, because if you do, then you are going to obviously break the chain in terms of what you are doing, because most people will usually run this with delirium as well to get a little bit more added juice. So what most people have is they will have one build which is like extremely tanky and very fast to run around the map and do all the ghost busting. Once they've completed the map in terms of getting all the ghosts possessed, and they would touch as many minions and monsters as they can, at that point they would then take a portal out, log out of their character, switch character to their damage character, and then go back in the map and then completely destroy everything. That is an option. There are other builds that I have seen that has had a bit of a balance of a bit of tankiness, bit of speed and a bit of damage, but from what I have seen, it is usually best to have 2 separate builds. Yes, it does burn through a portal in terms of swapping out and jumping out, but as long as the character that you are then going back in with is relatively tanky and relatively strong, then technically you shouldn't die. This is how you would then fully juice your maps, because you are then getting as many spirits as you can. The quantity of anything that drops is obviously increased. As you can see from the footage in the background here, This is from one of my colleagues who literally ran around a map with one of his Ghostbusting builds. You have to be extremely fast and be able to manage all content to be able to run around the map super fast, touch as many monsters as you can, and then you want to go back in and then destroy everything. But this is how you would maximize Tormented Spirits. It is a very niche content in the game. I would say that maybe less than 5% would run this strategy. It was very popular last league when the Speaker of the Dead node meant that you could touch 50 monsters. Now, because you can only touch 20, that nerf has been quite significant, and it has meant that there has been a decline in players doing this strategy. So if you wanted to give it a go and see how it was for you, you can more than happily do it, and you will more than happily make money from it. A final way that you can add one more Torment into your map is on the map device here. Well, you can add two more, sorry. You can add Torment into your map, and this one will add an additional 2 Tormented Spirits. So potentially you could have 12 from this, 13 from this, 14 from your Atlas tree, and then 15, 16 from this. And you may even get a 17th because you are picking up 20% more chance for another one to appear, which is a lot of Tormented Spirits, as you can imagine. And if you really like Tormented Spirits, there is actually a memory called Niko's Memory of Tormented Souls, which is on the trade site. And as it says here, rare and unique monsters found in areas are possessed and their minions are touched. Now, similar to what's on your Atlas tree, this whole memory is based around these Tormented Spirits. But as you can imagine, this is going to get stronger and harder as you go through the memories. So if you enjoy doing memories and you enjoy introducing more Tormented Spirits into your content and into your maps, then this is another level of how you can play around with Tormented Spirits. If you're new to the channel, I would like to recommend you go and have a look at all of my other videos. Throw us a subscribe, throw us a like if you like any of my videos. I've recently just done some videos on TFT in regards to the fact that there's some new channels and new Discord channels which have come about to kind of counteract TFT, and there's been a video that I just did in regards to bulk selling, which was a website called Wealthy Exile. I have got a few build guides as well. I've got one for Penance Brand, one for Adhikari Spiders, and one for Frostblink of Wintry Blast. I do have one more build guide which I am due to be doing shortly. Once one of my videos has 25 comments on it that people asking me to do a build guide, which I am going to post that in the description, then I will do one final build guide for the league. Other than that, guys, though, thank you for watching. The next video that we'll be doing will be based on the next piece of content which was introduced into the game, which for Path of Exile, which was essences. So essences were introduced into the game in League 2.4. So we're going to go through all of the essences, how you can juice your essences, and how you can get more essences into your maps. I want to thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this series, then again, as I've said before, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll be doing more videos over the next couple of weeks, all the way up until the new league launches, probably in sometime in March. So until the next video, guys, stay sane, Exile.